Hey friends, so today we're going to be doing some baking. We have got so many eggs that needs to be used because I have about a dozen eggs that the best before date is tomorrow. And then I have another dozen and a half eggs where the best before date is a week from now. So that's a lot of eggs and not much time to use them. What I'll be doing is smell testing the eggs. I know you can put them in water, or apparently you can put them in water and test for the floatness, for the freshness. I've never really done that before. All I go by to know if the egg is still good or not is the smell. I'm not one to shove my nose in things. I do hate that. But one with eggs, it is pretty obvious. If there is a bad egg, it will smell like egg. If it's good and safe to use, there's no smell. To a raw egg, there's no smell. So, and then if it is off, like at the start of becoming a bit off, it will smell a little eggy, just like, but it'll smell like cooking an egg. Nothing too dramatic or gross. Of course, if it's like very expired, then that's when it's going to be pretty rank, but I know these eggs aren't going to be to that extent. So when we crack them, if I can smell egg, then it's no good. That's why I thought, got a lot of eggs, let's make desserts. I want to try new recipes. All these recipes are new to me. We are going to be making two different types of budinos, which is like an Italian custard pudding-like dessert. So I'm going to be doing a butterscotch budino with a salted caramel sauce and whipped cream, and I'll be doing just a chocolate budino with an espresso whipped cream and some chocolate flakes on top of that as well. So very excited. They both sound really good to me. As well as another recipe I've never made before is a lemon meringue pie. So I'm excited for that. So what I've got here, I've just scribbled out my recipes. I like to, instead of reading the whole steps and having all those filler words in written recipes, I just like to skim through it and put down what I need or need to know. And to make my time more efficient, I've also got the steps. So we're going to be bouncing back and forth between all three recipes because each three of these recipes, they all need to be having chill time in between the steps. They either need a cool down or they will need a set before the next step. So we're just going to be bouncing between the three recipes. So I just got myself a little like schedule, I suppose, so we know what we're doing when and I don't get confused. Hopefully I won't get confused. Alright, so to start off with lemon meringue pie, let's make the pastry for that. So this recipe is weighed out in grams because these are new recipes. I'm just gonna follow the recipe to a T. And then generally once I've made a recipe for the first time, and then I might try it again, a different recipe, and then depending on my level of confidence with that said recipe is when I'll start alternating and trying to piece together my own just by taking different components by different recipes and reading reviews as well. A lot of the times with recipes and Pinterest, people will write comments saying, oh, really good, but next time I'll do this or I'll do that. And then if a lot of people saying the same thing, then I'll just go ahead and do that. But this recipe I'll leave down below if you want to copy this as well, because I'm following it to a T and the reviews seem really good. So 250 grams of plain flour. This is mainly plain flour or mostly plain flour. There is a little bit of wholemeal flour in here just because when Nick was putting the groceries away one day, he didn't realize the bag of flour was actually wholemeal, not plain white, and he started to tip it in, but it's fine. So I'm just whisking this, and this is like an alternative way to sift it without bringing out the sifter. If it was really lumpy and hard lumps, then I would use a sifter, but because it's not like that, this is fine. And I want to add a pinch of salt. Whisk those together to get that combined, the salt and the flour. And we want 125 grams of cold butter. So I'm just going to weigh this. There we go. I think that other recipes, the butter will probably be a benefit if it's more room temperature, so I'll leave the rest of this block out. And with this butter, I'm just going to be chopping it into chunks. This is pretty thin. And adding that to our bowl. And then this more bigger piece, I'm going to try and not touch it with my fingers as much as possible and work kind of quick. Because the more my fingers touch it, the more it will heat up, and we want to try and prevent that. And I'm just going to add this butter. And using the knife as well, coat all this butter in with the flour. And I'm just going to be using the knife and pressing it to even chop up this butter even more in the flour. And then when it gets to smaller pieces, I will then come in with my fingertips just to try and combine it all together. Well, we're looking like a breadcrumb kind of consistency. All right, we want 2 egg yolks. Whoops. We'll try and scoop that yolk back up. And I do have a bag here already for compost. I just opted for one of these bags instead of a bowl because I know I'm going to be needing pretty much all my bowls today. Okay, hopefully that's okay. We're gonna have egg whites left over. I'm not sure what we're doing with them just yet. But yeah, that's okay. We got our 2 egg yolks. Alright, so in with our flour and butter, we're going to add in a tablespoon of caster sugar. I've just opened this bag, but it's quite hard and lumpy. I'm just gonna break up these lumps first. And caster sugar is just finer, regular white sugar. And just use a spoon just to get that mixed. In goes our 2 egg yolks, which I've never, I mean, I'm not big on making pastries. Generally desserts, when I make pastries, I don't really make pastries that require dessert. I mean, desserts that require pastries. So I do not recall ever making a pastry before that has egg yolk in it. I might be wrong, but yeah, I'm not sure. But I just thought it was kind of interesting. So we'll mix in the egg yolk as much as we can. And here I got some cold water, so just 1 tablespoon at a time. We're probably going to be needing a total of about 3 tablespoons. But we're just going to mix in some water, just to help get it all combined and to get this into a dough. I'll add another tablespoon. I can tell if I'm pushing it on the spoon, it's definitely coming together. So at this point, I'm just going to dump it on my bench. The bench is all nice and clean. We just kind of want to squish it together to see if it will hold its shape. If not, we will add in another tablespoon. I think we'll be okay. I really don't know. Maybe we do want a bit more water. Let's see how that goes. That was like half a tablespoon. Oh yeah, that does feel better. Okay, I'm glad I add that. All right, so this is going to need to chill in the fridge, and when it comes out, we're going to roll it. So just to help it chill and to help future me rolling this, I'm just going to flatten it out to a disc now. I have a bread scraper, a dough scraper, I should be using that. Just gonna cover it with plastic so it doesn't dry out or make a mess. And now this is going to go in the fridge to chill for about 20 minutes. All right, I got my pan out now because we're going to be making the butterscotch Budino. I can't remember how to pronounce it. I did look up Google like how to pronounce it before I started filming and I can't remember. Budino, something like that. So it calls for 2/3 a cup of brown sugar. Let's see if we have enough. Generally brown sugar you want to pack it, so I think we'll be okay. Wow, look at that. Perfect. So I will set this container to wash. I hope that's the only recipe that calls for brown sugar because I know I don't have any backup. This is not something that we go through a lot, especially now Nick and I, when we do bake, if it's just me and him eating it, I generally do make things sugar free. And even with cooking, I don't really cook with sugar anymore. So, I don't know, do I put up my shopping list to replace or just wait till we actually need it? But then when we actually need it, because we always have it, I'm gonna just think we have it. I don't know, either way, we're out of brown sugar. So we got that in here, that was 2/3 of a cup. Now I'm gonna take 1/4 of a cup of water and adding a pinch of salt. I'm using this whisk, it's got like lots of flour on it, that's perfectly fine. Just to whisk the sugar, salt and water together. And try and break up the lumps from some of this brown sugar. It's been there for a while, it is pretty old. And now this is going to go on a medium-high heat and we want to cook this without stirring for about 8 to 10 minutes. So, yeah. And there we go. I will set my timer for 8 minutes and then we'll see what it looks like. So that's what it looks like just coming in. It's just like a, kind of looks like golden syrup in a way. I think because we have 8 minutes, I'm just going to do the rest of this recipe as much as we can do, get it all prepared. So once it's been cooking for about 8 minutes, we're gonna whisk in some cream and whisk in some milk. So I'll get that measured out. We want a cup of each. And it will hiss. It's a hot caramel. It's going to hiss when the cool liquid touches it. It might firm up, but apparently if we keep going with it, it should become back to a liquid. Just be careful because it is definitely a hazardous thing with burns, like it can spit out, but hopefully that doesn't happen. So I'll measure out a cup of cream, a cup of milk, and then separate some more eggs for a little bit later. All right, so now in this bowl, we want 1 whole egg. And then I'm going to separate, we want 2 egg yolks. So we got 1 egg, 2 egg yolks. These egg whites can go off to the side. All right, so very quickly, the other thing we wanted to add into this bowl is some corn flour. So we want about 2 tablespoons. So 1, 2, and we'll just give this a whisk to combine. And I'm just waiting for our mixture on the stove to come up to a boil. All right, this is at the 8-minute mark. This is 8 to 10 minutes. I think this is going to be good. So I'm going to turn the heat down just a tiny little bit because I am a little bit scared and nervous. We want to add in the cream. It's going to hiss and bubble up. But we'll mix this and pour it in slowly. Okay. Oh, that's okay. That's not as scary as I thought. Maybe I shouldn't have turned the heat down. I'm gonna put this heat back up. It doesn't say to turn the heat down. That's just me being a little bit scared. So I'll scrape out this cream. So this is 1 cup of cream. Get this mix to combine. And then we got 1 cup of, this is whole milk. When I do make desserts, I do like to use whole milk. I just brought a litre specifically for this, and if we have any left, I'll water it down and add it to the garden. Otherwise, we drink light milk. Alright, so this has come to temperature. Smells really good. What we're going to do is temper the eggs. So, just got my 1/4 cup measure here. Probably not about half of that, so not even that full, not even half of that. We're going to whisk this egg very quickly and slowly pour this hot mixture in. So we want these eggs to come up to temperature and to cook without scrambling eggs. Alright, so we'll do that again. So you just want to do this a few times. There's a little bit more on my scoop here now. And then the more times you do it, like each addition, you can do it a little bit faster, and because the temperature will be coming up. And if you're a bit unsure if your eggs are tempted, feel the bowl. This is a good thing with stainless steel, you can feel it. This is nice and warm. These eggs will be tempted. And look at that, this is not scrambled. So now what we can do, I'll just pour in a bigger amount. I'm happy with that, so now this can go back into the saucepan. Whoops. I'll just use this to scrape. And now I have 3 tablespoons of butter here that I have just diced up that can go into this hot mixture, and that should melt. So I'll let that sit there for just a few seconds. And the only other ingredient we want is vanilla. So we want about a teaspoon of vanilla. You can already see this butter melting. There we go, generous teaspoon of vanilla. Oops, actually, I missed a step. So after tempering, I was supposed to put this on a simmer for 2 minutes, then remove it, then add the butter and the vanilla. Whoopsies. I think this will be fine. So we're just gonna mix this to get the vanilla combined and that butter melted and combined. That's so lush already. Just thickening up and getting nice and lush, yum. All right, so I've just had this sitting for probably about 2-3 minutes while I got my bench tidied up a little bit. I put these out there, and then I thought it would be easier to show up here. Okay, so having a looking for my jars, these are 1/2 pints, I think. So I always forget with the American measurements on what they're called, but for Australia, this is equivalent to 1 cup. So these are the half size jars. And you put them in ramekins, you can put them in any kind of glass. I'm using these jars. Recipe calls for 6. I'm probably going to try and fill up 5. I want to make sure to leave room for the caramel sauce and the whipped cream. But I also want them to be like pretty full. So this has been sitting here. So our mixture here has just been sitting here. I'm going to strain it first. And another handy thing with using actual jars is I can use my canning funnel that's specifically made for these jars, and this fits perfectly on top as well. So we're just straining it for just in case if we did have any egg that we whisked that like made into scrambled eggs. Just realised I'm not even moving the canning funnel with it. That's okay. So yeah, 5 was perfect. That's what I thought. Well, there we go. Didn't even need the canning funnel after all. I don't know if you can see in that as well. So that is little bits of egg. That's why we want to make sure to strain it. Although I was pretty confident that I tempered it really well, which this is done really well. Always want to strain it, no matter how confident or how good you think that you've done it. That wouldn't be a very nice texture to eat with everything else being so nice and smooth. But I'm going to be needing this a few times, so I'm going to rinse that off straight away. I try to be neat. This one's a little messy, kind of dribbled on the side, but that's okay. And I try to make them even. So recipe calls for 6, I made them into 5, and I'm happy with these amounts in the jars. Also, a couple of these jars are brand new lids. I'm not using that for this. They are going to be kept for canning. I'm going to go into my drawer here and find some lids that we have used. So what has this been used for? CBB, which is chicken bone broth, and then I ended up making a batch of tartare sauce that just kept in the fridge. So this lid's been used a few times, and it's going to be perfectly fine to use again for this. Obviously, if you're using just regular glasses, just put some plastic wrap or something on them. How many do I want? 5. But another benefit that I do have these jars, so I might as well use them, and then I don't need to use my cling wrap. And because they're hot, we don't want it to be too tight actually. Hang on. The recipe says to pour them in glasses, cover with plastic and put in the fridge. But I feel like because it's glass, that can't be good. You know what? I'm just going to let them cool at least slightly here. I'll just push this off to the side. I'll get everything cleaned up and ready to go on to the next step, which is rolling out our, not key lime pie, lemon meringue pie pastry. So, and then once I got everything cleaned up, I'll pop them in the fridge. All right, nice and clean, nice and dry. I'm going to sprinkle on some flour. I just hand washed and roughly hand washed dishes that we've used. I'm going to be needing again, just so they're washed and drying while I had a minute for, what is it called? For the Budinos, the butterscotch Budinos to cool. They are now in the fridge. We got our disc of pastry. I don't want to touch it too much because again, my fingertips are going to warm it up. But I'll put this in the center here. And this recipe on the website, it recommends to use a tart dish with the removable bottom. The only pie tart dish I have is this glass Pyrex pie dish. So that's what I'm going to be using. I might not be able to lift it up and out afterwards and put it on a cake stand like they did, which was absolutely beautiful. And I would like to do that. So we'll see how we go using this. Otherwise, I mean, I use this for my key lime pie and it works fine. Like you cut the slice and the slice comes out nice. So I'm hoping I can get this to come out just as nice as when I done the key lime pie. But I do have a video of that if you want to see that down below. But all I'm doing here is keep rotating it, and we just want to roll it out thin enough to cover our pie dish. All right. So we want this to cover and also go up the sides. So this might be good. Now it's just getting this onto here. I'm gonna use my bench scraper. Oops. I mean, it is dough at the end of the day, should be able to pinch it, but obviously if I can get this done nice and seamlessly, it would be better. So I'm just gonna make sure it all comes up from the bench. You know what? I'm going to line this with some baking paper. My goodness, has it been years since I've last done this. So we want it folded to a square. Fold it in half again. I don't even know where my scissors are. Probably outside in the garden somewhere. I really need to replace our scissors because I bring them out, I leave them out there, they get weathered. So the point of here, and I'm just going to line the base, not so much up the side. So roughly in the middle to roughly like that. So we've got our crease. I'll use a knife. So this isn't going to be perfect, but you can kind of see the crease here. Let's see if I've done this right. It's been years since I last done this. I mean, it's not an even circle, but that's okay. Actually, it's just these points. Going to remove these points because they kind of go up the edge. I'm going to fold it onto itself on the rolling pin. Oh my goodness. Oh no. And release it, making sure there's enough room on all the edges. It kind of did crack a little bit, but that's okay. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's just dough. So I'm going to lift it up. Get it down. I actually do have quite a bit excess, so it's either this recipe is nice and forgiving, which I'm hoping, because I don't feel like this is too thin, or I have just done this too thin. But what we're going to do is just cut it right around the edge. Alrighty, I'm happy with that. So now this is going to go into the fridge. We want it to cool. The recipe says about 10-20 minutes. I reckon at least a solid half an hour because this warms up really, really fast. So again, this will go into the fridge. I'm not going to cover it or anything. This will be fine. Tidy up. Preheat the oven. What's the next thing on the list? Is a chocolate Budinos. So that's fine. We'll get the oven preheated. I actually didn't write down what temperature, so I didn't need to look that up. So while this is cooling, oven will be preheating. While that's doing that, we'll make the chocolate Budino that can then go into the fridge, and yeah, we'll keep going like that. So this is actually really helpful having this written out. So let's just get on with it. All right, we want 225 grams of dark chocolate, bittersweet chocolate. So this is what I have. This is a 180 gram packet. I didn't realize when I did the shopping how much I needed. I just assumed a block would have been plenty, but I was wrong. Luckily, I do have some regular milk chocolate. So we're gonna be doing a combination of both. But as well as the 225 grams we want for the actual Budino, I want to reserve some, and I think I will go with the dark chocolate shavings just to decorate on top as a bit of a garnish. And I think the contrast of like the milky chocolate custardy pudding, then with the espresso cream, which is like going to be, obviously whipped cream's white, but it's got espresso, so it's going to be a little bit of a light brown. I think the contrast of this dark chocolate will be a lot nicer than milk chocolate. So before we get making it, let's shave some dark chocolate, set off to a side. We'll use the rest of this, and whatever we're missing in weight, we'll then use this. And shavings chocolate's very easy. If anything, I should have probably had this in the fridge because it is so hot here. But that's okay. This has just been in the pantry, so it's like room temperature. Yum. I actually love dark chocolate. I really do enjoy dark chocolate. So what we're gonna do, we got the block, I got my knife, and just like gonna cut it, but thin. But it's not because we wanna cut it, we just kinda wanna shave it, just like that. So see this piece that looks more like a cut, that was a bit thick, but that's okay, it kind of crumbles up anyway. So you know, that works out really good. So I'm just gonna go along, and I'm gonna do the same thing. This recipe says it will make 6. I'm just gonna fill up 5 of my jars just because I prefer them that little bit more fuller. So I'm just gonna eyeball what I think will be nice or enough to top up 5 of these chocolates. It's got a little cup here. I'm just gonna place it in because it is melting with it touching on my hands. And then this way, this can go into the fridge. So this here I'll pop into the fridge so it can keep its shape. As you can see, this piece was too thick for it to be shaving. It's fine, it's all gonna get broken up and weighed out anyway. Because we're gonna make this as like a ganache, so we're gonna heat up the cream mix, pour it over the chocolate. I'm going to chop it smaller than these actual squares. So there we go, 225 grams, and you can see the difference there between the dark and the milk chocolate. So pretty much for 1 cube of chocolate, I kind of done it in quarters just to make it a bit more smaller, and that's fine. So now we've got that ready, that can set to the side. We'll then go on to the other part to it. All right, so chocolate budino, we got our chocolate off to the side. We have 5 egg yolks in this bowl that I'm gonna put into my saucepan. This is a complete different method to the butterscotch one. This seems to be easier. It's only like 2 steps. So we'll see how that goes. I'm still gonna keep this bowl off to the side because we need to separate more eggs for the lemon meringue pie. So just gonna break these yolks. So 5 egg yolks. We want 1/3 of a cup of sugar. I'm just gonna use regular white sugar. It doesn't have to be caster sugar because it's all going to be melted down on the heat anyway. And I want 2 cups of cream. So how I also mentioned briefly just before, this seems to be similar to like a ganache. Ganache, you heat up your cream, get it a nice hot cream, and then pour it over your chocolate. Let the cream sit on the chocolate for a minute or 2, mix it, and that's your ganache. We're essentially doing that, but it has eggs and sugar in this bowl. I just need another 1/2 cup. And when I was researching what exactly a Budino is, it is an Italian dessert. Some people say it's like a pudding. Some people say it's not a pudding because some people are pudding's like a soft, gooey, warm cake-like texture, where this is like a custard or a thick mousse without all that air incorporated. But one thing that well, not everything, but most things that I've read is it's thickened with cornstarch. We use cornstarch in the butterscotch recipe, but this recipe doesn't call for any cornstarch. So then that's like, is it traditionally a Budino? I don't know. But I looked at a few different chocolate Budino recipes and none of them had cornstarch. But yeah, if you Google, or at least when I was asking Google questions and looking up things and I searched like, does Budino have to have cornstarch for it to be a Budino? And the answer is yes. So what exactly we're making right now, I don't know, but this is just how the recipe seems to be. There's a lot of them very, very, very similar to this, and all of them, I mean, I didn't search every single recipe on Google, but the few, I think I clicked on maybe 4 or 5, none of them had cornstarch, and they all call it a chocolate Budino. So, yeah, mixing this together. So this has got our eggs, our cream, and our sugar. And now we're gonna pop this on the heat. I think just a medium heat. We're gonna mix it occasionally. I'm gonna switch this out for my silicone spatula. But we do not want this to get to simmer. We just want to get it heating through. And it's just what the mixture looks like with it just gone on the heat. There's like little speckles. I think that's just egg. So definitely going to strain this as well. The recipe didn't call to strain it, but I'm gonna strain it. All right, so this is steaming quite nicely now. This mixture didn't let it to boil. You could feel it on the bottom. So it's definitely gonna be more cooked egg in here. I did reread the recipe though. I had it wrong. It does state to strain it as you pour it over the chocolate. So I'm glad. I mean, I was gonna do it regardless because I thought it definitely should have said that step. So yeah, I just reread it and it does. So just set that there. Smells so good. And you can see all that egg So yeah, it got nice and steamy, but it wasn't simmering. It was almost there, so that's what I thought I'd call it. I thought it would have appeared to be more thicker than what it was, but I mean, it should be fine. It's coating the spoon and things like that. And you can see all that is a cooked egg in there. And yeah, we're just gonna let this sit for probably a minute or two, and then we'll mix the chocolate in. All right, so let's just fold this in. Yes, as you can see, it's nice and melty. So just gently combine this together. My oven's just ticked off for it being preheated as well. So as soon as we get this done, we can get that pie crust in the oven. Oh my gosh, this smells so intense of chocolate. Yum. Alright, there's still a couple more ingredients we want to add into here. So one of them is a teaspoon of vanilla. Nice generous teaspoon. 2 tablespoons of butter. So it's 30 grams of butter. And a pinch of salt. And get that all combined. Do apologize for the sun glaring over this side, but I can't do anything about it. And I only have 3 of the half size jars left. This is what I used for the butterscotch ones. It's what I would prefer to use for all of them, but that's okay. We got 2 bigger jars as well. And this has already been strained, so we don't need to do that. I'm gonna start with these smaller ones. It looks like it's starting to set, so I'll just mix that again. Oh, that was probably a bit much in that one. Okay, definitely pulled out a little bit more messier, but that's fine. So, I mean, I feel like that's a good amount in these jars. There we go. Another thing that's fun is I'm going to be using the ceramic pie weight for my first time. I've never made any pie dish using this. So this is just going to weigh down the crust while it bakes in the oven. So just taking this out. The oven's preheated at 180 degrees Celsius to enforce. We're going to line this with some baking paper. This crust is nice and cold. And this, my mum actually had this in her cupboard for a few years, and it's not even open. So she asked if I wanted it when she was doing clear out, because like she brought it, but she just doesn't really make pie crusts. Which is the same as me. I was a little hesitant to take it. I don't like to keep things if it's not something that I go for often. Otherwise there is alternatives like rice. But all of last year I did not cook a single rice dish besides from sushi and sushi rice, but that doesn't last long in my pantry. I generally buy it, make it, and then that's it. I can't get this open. Just reading how much do I use. Lightly pressed pastry into pie, we know that. Lime pastry with baking paper, fill. Okay, it just says to fill it, so I guess just enough. I don't know. We got the whole container on there. So you want to make sure that they do go right to the edge to hold this pastry down. Right, so this is going to go into the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then we'll remove the top, so that the beads and this paper, and then it'll go back in for a further for a further 5 to 8 minutes, but for now 15 to 20 minutes. So the timer is set for 15 minutes and then we'll check it when that goes off. Now what do we do? Salted caramel. All right, so the chocolate Budino is done except for the whipped cream on top. Salted caramel for the butterscotch Budino. All right, so now caramel for caramel sauce. This is half a cup of white sugar with 2 tablespoons of water. I just mix that to combine. It's on a medium heat. And then we're gonna set timer for about 8 minutes as well until we'll then add butter and cream and salt. All right, one thing, well, I'm a bit high. Oh yeah, that's a little better. One thing I didn't get prepared, which I should have probably got prepared, but that's okay. There's another way to go about it. I just now need to dirty another pot, but that's all right. Lemon juice. So I got 2, it's a bit icy now in this bag. I do have some more in the other freezer. And I believe all of it is Ziploc, except for this whole bag has been just in this bag. And this is lemon juice that I juiced May last year, and that's from my mum's lemon tree. So it's a little icy, but that's okay. So one of these cups of juice is the equivalent to the juice of 1 whole lemon. So we want juice of 2 lemons. And now that's easily in my saucepan here. And then I can just put that on like a medium heat just to defrost it. We don't need to warm it up or anything. We're not cooking it. I just purely need to melt it so I can use it for the lemon meringue filling. So the sugar is now boiling. That's only just started, so it's going to be crazy to see the color difference, but we want it to be a nice amber color. I've just chucked this on a low to medium heat. Again, we're not cooking it, just needing it to get melted. All right, removing from heat. This is going quick. It's going quick and I'm not ready. Okay, so removing from heat. Where's my thing? I was trying to multitask and that was a quick 8 minutes. Ugh. Okay. So we want to add the butter and the cream. It is going to hiss at us again. So this is 2 tablespoons, which is equivalent of 30 grams of butter. Gonna whisk that. And we want half a cup of cream. Doesn't look very light. I think I cooked this for too long. Oh no. But to make this caramel, salted caramel, we want to add in pinch of salt. That's actually a pretty big pinch. I think I let it cook for too long. It just happened so quick. It's still very hot. I'm just kind of trying to smell it. It doesn't smell burnt, but it is darker. A part of me wants to add more cream, but I don't want the texture or the consistency to go different. I don't know. I'm just going to do what it says. But I do want to add more cream, but I'm not going to. We'll just do what it says because this is the first time. Yeah. Just use my 1/4 cup measure scoop. I just had to put the blind down because it was just so blinding. Also, these are not set. So you'd want these to set before putting the caramel on, but I've got the caramel here and these aren't set. So it's probably going to sink in. We might do some swirly action instead. We'll just see how we go. Yeah, that's not sitting on top. I'll just swirl a little bit in. And then that way we just got some hot caramel. Salted caramel in the butterscotch rather than on top. Got a little caramel left. I don't know what to do with it. I might pour it in a jar and then keep it in the fridge, and I don't know, we'll figure something out to do it with a later date, but I don't want any more caramel than that for those. I just taste the caramel. It tastes burnt. I poured it in these already and it tastes burnt. So I'm not going to save the rest of that caramel. It doesn't taste good. I hope the caramel mixed with the rest here, hopefully it's not going to be too strong on a burnt taste. I'm trying to think, what was the last thing I made with caramel? The exact same thing happened. It got too dark too quick. I done it and then I tasted after and it tasted burnt, but all together. No, I think it was my brother's caramel cheesecake I made for him for his birthday. But mixing then the caramel in with the cream cheese filling, it was fine. It was really, really delicious. It turned out good. But the caramel itself tastes exactly like that and that tastes burnt. So I think I've caught it in time. I think these will be okay. Hopefully they set up properly. My intentions was to have this all done today, but I guess they just have to sit in the fridge overnight. And same as the chocolate ones, they're not set up either. So we'll come back tomorrow for the whipped cream and to do that part. And if I realised, I would have done the caramel tomorrow too. But that's okay. But yes, I'm not going to save that caramel just because it doesn't taste good. And let's hope that I haven't destroyed these little desserts with my overcooked caramel. I don't think it's like burnt. It's definitely overcooked. It's overdone. Alrighty, I'll pop these back in the fridge. I'll tidy up again. And then we'll finish this lemon meringue pie, and then that's everything done for today. And this is the pie crust, all nice and done and cooled. I got so many egg whites. What I'm thinking about, and I still need to separate some more for the lemon meringue filling, like the pie filling. What I think I'm going to do with the egg whites is freeze them and then bury them when I do the garden cleanup. I don't know. So kind of like as a compost material. Otherwise, I do not see myself cooking with this many egg whites. So lemon meringue filling, 80 grams of corn flour. That seems like a lot of corn flour, but we'll see how it goes. That just seems like a lot. That's crazy to me. Alright, so now in this pot over medium heat, we have got 80 grams of corn flour, 325 grams of caster sugar, juice of 2 lemons, and 300 mils of water. So we just want this to come up to a boil. This mixture is thick. That is so thick. The hell, it's like hair gel. So we want it to boiling. It's just starting to bubble up now. I'll keep mixing it and let it bubble away for a minute or two, and then off the heat it goes. I reread the recipe. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong, but this just doesn't feel right. I just don't understand. It's off the heat now, but how am I supposed to temper eggs in this? This is too thick. I don't know if it cools down, if it will liquid out a little bit, but I don't know. Now for the meringue top for this pie, we want 3 egg whites, and in this filling we still need to add in 4 egg yolks. So I've got a separate bowl that I'm going to put in my whites because I don't know how many egg whites in that bowl. So we still need more egg yolks anyhow. So we'll just separate our 3 egg whites in this bowl, so then we know that's definitely 3 for the meringue. And then, yeah, we want 4 yolks. We are just gonna go with it, I think, because I just don't get it. How am I gonna temper the egg in this? See, this has some heat in it, so I'm just gonna use what's on the whisk, quickly beat up these egg yolks. And there's no straining this mixture either. Spoon, and just dollop a little bit in here. It would be better to temper the eggs in a stainless steel bowl,
because in that bowl will also keep the heat that you're adding into. But I don't know, I don't really think of it. Alrighty, let's, here goes nothing. My goodness, it is an arm workout, but it's starting to smell really good now. I can smell the lemon. I was just a little worried. I'm like, is it even gonna taste like lemon? But I can smell it. So this is the last ingredient we want for the filling, which is the butter, which is 80 grams of butter. So that is melting nicely. I'm just gonna let that sit just a minute and then we'll mix that together. All right, so our beautiful pie crust. I'm really happy with this crust. Obviously, I don't know what it tastes like, but compared to my last pie, which I know my last pie was a savory pie and this pie is a sweet pie, so there is difference there. But this just looks a whole lot nicer than my last attempt at pie crust. Right, we're gonna pour on. It doesn't smell like anything. At one stage you could slightly smell lemon and I can't smell anything. So I really hope it ends up tasting okay. But I'll pour this on. It is nice and smooth. I would still prefer when it is coming to like desserts where you have to temper eggs. I much prefer to strain it, but there is no way this is coming in a strainer. It is that thick. And this pie also won't be finished till tomorrow because we need this to set at room temperature. Cool completely at room temperature, sorry, and then set in the fridge until it's cold before we add on the topping. So I guess it's just destined to finish this tomorrow. I will be honest, I don't see myself, even if this is absolutely delicious, which I hope it is, but I don't know, I don't have high hopes, if I'm being honest. But even if it is absolutely delicious, I do not see myself making another lemon meringue pie anytime soon. It is an absolute arm workout. I mean, if it is delicious, it's worth it. It definitely will be worth it. But it's just one of those things. I was more afraid of the meringue part. That's what's made me not make it for so many years. This is a dessert that I've been wanting to make. Not even the meringue part. I haven't started that and I'm already like, holy hell. So, I don't know, I just think it's a bit funny. But we're here now, we're doing it, and I am excited for it. So, I'm gonna leave this to set. I'll leave this to come to room temperature. So just leave it up there. So probably a few hours, 2-3 hours, then that'll go into the fridge and clean up, and we'll come back tomorrow. So what we're gonna do tomorrow then is make the meringue to finish this pie, and then we need to make both creams, whipped cream, to finish both of the Budinos. I still cannot remember how to pronounce that. Budino, yeah. So the butterscotch Budino, we just want a regular sweetened whipped cream, and the chocolate Budino, we want an espresso whipped cream, which that sounds really delicious. So yeah, unfortunately no desserts to enjoy tonight, but we'll have plenty to enjoy tomorrow. All right, so it's now the next day. I've just whipped up the egg whites, so 3 egg whites for the meringue. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. On the stove here, I just done lunch as well, so I haven't packed up from lunch. But on the stove, I have 225 grams of caster sugar and 75 mils or 1/3 cup of water. And then all we want is this to come up to a temperature, to a boil. So we're not making a caramel, we're just essentially making like I'm assuming like a simple syrup, but we want it to come to a boiling temperature. And this is what the egg whites look like at the moment, so they're nice and stiff. And then we will slowly pour that hot syrup mixture in here while whisking again. All right, so that is our meringue done. It is tempered, it is warm,
We're going to scoop it onto this pie. I'm just going to quickly fold it just to scrape around those edges to make sure that's all incorporated. And we'll dump it on our pie. This bowl is heavy. Oh, and I'm also still in my pajamas. I don't know if we want all of this though. This seems like a lot of meringue. It might flatten a bit in the fridge, like when it cools, I'm not sure. And just for like decorations, I'm just going to try and fluff it up and get the nice peaks. And this stuff is sticky. I want to keep my dish nice and clean, so I'm just going to wipe around the edge here before it sets, because it's going to be a lot easier now to wipe. Same as that bowl, I've already rinsed off the beaters. And I'm going to wash this bowl real quick. That looks really cool. I think that's plenty meringue. I don't think we need any more. Alright, so I purchased this mini jet lighter. I really need to invest in a proper baking thing, but we're just going to blowtorch the top. I'm going to start it and then Nick will finish it, because I'm kind of scared with this stuff.
But you make the other one. There's no fucking way you're doing that whole thing.
No, she's good, she's good. Oh, wow.
But that's going to take 6 hours.
Yeah, that's why you're going to do some.
Oh.
That's cool. I'm doing it like not even facing the camera, but...
We should try the other one.
Mmm, smells so good. I don't want to do the other one because that was going to burn it, and the glass can't get hot because it's cold. I really do need to invest in a proper baking blowtorch. So yeah, we'll be there for... It just smells so good. I'm so scared. Okay, go. Oh my god, I hate it. It's not doing anything. Oh, there we go. It's on fire! The tip was on fire!
It was red, it wasn't on fire.
Yum! Is this hot? Oh no, it's not hot. How cool is that? Maybe, yeah, do it again just because I've rotated it so it gets in that bit. So I just went with my little jet lighter torch thing to get it in more precise pieces and like right around these edges bits. But how cool is that? I love it. Yum. So this is now going to go into the fridge to just set and cool. So now I'm whipping up the cream for the Budino desserts. So there's about 200 mils of cream. Just kind of eyeball it, to be honest. I'll do about 2 tablespoons of icing sugar, that'll be plenty, and a teaspoon of vanilla. So this cream I've already whipped just slightly with the beaters, and now I'm going to continue to whip this until it's nice and stiff. So I'm getting out the butterscotch Budinos and they're not set. The caramel set at the bottom. The caramel I thought might have swirled around, but that just sunk right down to the bottom. I mean, yeah, it's not set. So you can just see it's still liquidy. But we'll still put the whipped cream on top. It might be delicious, it might taste really weird because of the texture. I think it's like this because I didn't cook it for that couple of minutes after adding like the corn flour mix. I think I was supposed to cook it for a couple of minutes before adding the butter, but I kind of added all the rest of the ingredients and then I realized, so I didn't end up cooking it. So all I'm gonna do is just take a teaspoon and dollop a teaspoon on top, which kind of just sinks through. Like this is a good heap teaspoon. But yeah, it's such a shame it didn't set. But you know what, I got a bit more cream left over. I'll just go around with a bit more. So my intentions of how these was gonna look like would have this custard, a layer of that salted caramel, and then the whipped cream on top, which you could then see the salted caramel. But it didn't work out that way, but that's fine. That's just, it is what it is. Hopefully it tastes good. So as you can see, you cannot see any contrast with the salted caramel, but it is kind of sunk at the bottom there. Don't mind this either, this is just the meringue. I didn't get to it in time, so I have to scratch it off because it's not even sticky. But I wiped it, just not with soap. So yeah, not the prettiest desserts, but let's do the chocolate one. So remaining of our whipped cream, I've never done this before, but apparently to make it into an espresso powder, an espresso whipped cream, you just want to use some instant coffee. So I'm just going to use about 1/4 teaspoon, and apparently you don't need to, we don't need to like melt it in water or anything like that, so it's just in the bowl like that. So we'll see if this stays out or not, we'll see. I'm just going to use my beaters again and whip it. I didn't think that sounded right. Just got coffee amongst it. Maybe I'll let it sit for a little bit. I thought it sounded a little weird. I'll get the coffee ones out. I mean the chocolate puddings out. And let that sit for a minute and hopefully it starts to break down and incorporate. Alright, so I've just been using my spatula. I didn't want to whip it too much more because I don't want to turn it into butter. But I've just been like mushing it with my spatula. And you can see it is starting to dissolve and soften and break down. You can see like the streaks of the color from the coffee granules. This camera's not gonna pick it up, but there's still chunks of coffee in there, but I think, again, once it sets in the fridge, hopefully it continues to kind of soften and break down, and then it won't be like that awful hard taste. But instead it might just have that little punch of coffee, but you're not really having it with a spoon altogether. So I think we're okay. It just had to sit. The coffee had to sit on the cream for a bit. But these I've all set, which is really, really fun. Smells like chocolate. And I'm just gonna go through the same thing using a teaspoon. Just daubing on a teaspoon of this espresso whipped cream. This is now that shaved chocolate, dark chocolate that we kept from before. We'll just put on some bits of chocolate. Yum. Look at that, that is so fun. These jars definitely a bit messier. This is alright, this will be mine and Nick's in this bigger jar. I'll give these out to one for my brother, my mum and my dad to all try. Same with the caramel ones or the butterscotch ones. Me and Nick will have one. I'll give one to my brother, dad and mum. And then this pie, me and Nick will enjoy. They'll have a slice. I'll see if Nick's mum would like a slice, and yeah. So there we go, that is everything that we have made. We got our chocolate Budinos with espresso whipped cream, our failed but hopefully still delicious butterscotch budino with the salted caramel and whipped cream, and our lemon meringue pie. So really, when life gives you eggs, just make desserts. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to put the lips back onto this. If you're making these at home, it's recommended by the recipes to keep lab wrap over them. So we'll pop these in the fridge, and then we got a dessert to enjoy tonight. But thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe down below so I don't miss out my future videos. I'll leave the recipe links for all these recipes in the description as well. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!